Greetings, and thank you for listening to our presentation and participating. This is the ladder of inference, which is a tool that can be used by an individual to uncover the logic and data behind their conclusions, strong opinions, biases, assumptions, and preconceived ideas. Individuals can actually walk down the ladder to clarify assumptions, the origin of those assumptions, examine data and evidence that may back up their opinions. Data means anything that can be observed, read, or heard by another. By walking down the ladder, individuals are more prepared to skillfully explain their ideas and reasonings for their choices, assumptions, and opinions. Roberts explained that in 1998. To sharpen thinking and possibly see a path for innovation, individuals can also start at the bottom of the ladder and walk up with the same data and discipline to come to conclusions that are different from what seems obvious. So come, let us reason together. Let us engage in dialogue.
For this exercise, you will need the following. 1. Something to write with. 2. Something to write on. 3. Your imagination. Rules of the game. First, go only one slide at a time. Next, after each slide, briefly write what you believe to be true. Third, use your imagination. Paint the whole picture in your mind and jot down the key elements. Next, each slide provides different information connecting to the whole scenario. Lastly, after you have written what you think is happening, go to the next slide.
Next slide. Number 1. A woman is at a street intersection. She is walking slowly from one corner to the next, covering all 4 corners. Please write what you think might be happening. Next slide. Number 2. It is after dark. Please write what you think might be happening. Next slide. Number 3. The neighborhood is primarily Latino. Please write what you think might be happening. Next slide. Number 4. The woman is black. Please write what you think might be happening. Next slide. Number 5. A white man walks across the street to her. Please write what you think is happening. Next slide. Number 6. They speak for a moment. Please write. Next slide. Number 7. She reaches into her tote bag and pulls out 2 bags of food. Please write. Next slide. Number 8. He says, "Thank you." They part ways. Please write.
Wrap up. Look over each slide. Think about why you wrote what you did. What are your past experiences or beliefs that led you to choose those conclusions? Were those conclusions verified by the story?
Hello. You just heard a true story that happened to me. I ordered food through Grubhub or Uber Eats or something, and she was the delivery driver. When I saw her, I was able to make a leap of abstraction on the ladder of inference to conclude that she was, in fact, the delivery driver. I knew this. However, later, I started thinking about what if a person saw this coming from a different perspective, and how one might arrive at a different interpretation of the situation if the information was presented just one piece at a time. The ladder of inference is based on the meaning one derives from observable data. We formulate conclusions, which then lead to our beliefs and ultimately our actions that will then influence and inform what future data we choose to observe, interpret, and act upon. Let's look at how the ladder of inference might apply to our situation. Receiving the data in small pieces forces the listener to fill in the blanks. This is based on the limited data provided. We then use our cultural and our personal background to add meaning to the data. Can you identify aspects of your culture that may have influenced the meaning you assign to the story? Based on this, we then draw conclusions. Next, when we're given a new piece of the puzzle, that is, some new data, we use this information to build on our previous conclusions. We now have begun to build a foundational understanding of what is happening from assumptions based on very limited data. Our conclusions then become our foundation. In an organization, when information is provided piecemeal, that is, just a little bit at a time, participants will create their own meaning, just like you did. When employees create their own meaning, it's not a good thing. If you recall an article called "Change Through Persuasion" by Gavin and Roberts, the authors described how Paul Levy managed to turn around a failing hospital. They describe how critical communication is in organizational change. They write that change agents must control the frame through which information and messages are interpreted. They need to manage the mood of the employees and provide reinforcement of habits. All these are accomplished through effective communication. Especially applicable is how Levy several times created a question and answer forum. This would bypass the filling in the blanks employees do to create a meaning out of their limited information. Think about this. If you had been able to ask questions during the story, would you have come to a different conclusion? Rickkay explains how important a shared vision is in the success of an organization. We understand this. We've talked a lot about this, gone over it many times. We spent a long time exploring this idea. I ask you, how can an organization share a vision if there's miscommunication? It can't. Poor communication fosters dysfunction through misunderstanding of policies and goals. I hope this exercise helped illustrate how easy it is for individuals to create their own beliefs based on conclusions built on faulty assumptions. Thank you.